Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's closer to afternoon here now. uh, just waiting for some people to come in. I started, I was set this up at like to come in like 11 and I'm just getting in now and it's like almost an hour later. So there is a lot of there's a lot of that kind of energy around. Just yeah, there's just a lot of energy. So, welcome. My name is Corey Thorne. For those who don't know who I am a spiritual teacher, a channel, a mystic, the founder and creator of More Than Existing, a published author. Just released my second book, My Truth of Existing Beyond the Reflection. So, welcome everyone. Just letting the room fill up a little bit, getting some energy in here. We're working with energy that's already been flowing through all morning for me. So I just wanted to come in and do a quick, I keep saying a quick, I'm coming in to do a quick live video because it has been a little bit since I've been in. Um, I have been I've been not so accessible in a lot of spots, not so available in a lot of areas of my life because I am being available to me in a lot of other ways. Good morning, Edie, Shelly, Destiny. Good morning, and good morning, Raquel. And so we are on both. We are on broadcasting on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. So I am on both channels. It saves me having to do so many different lives because I'm in many places and many spots. This coming Friday, you can catch me on my radio show. It's every third Friday of the month and it is on News for the Soul Radio. So this Friday at 12, I am there. I am very much into a lot of recordings right now, trying to get a lot of stuff banked because I am going to be going out and not available for a lot of things for a while. I am having some surgery done coming up soon. I hope, fingers crossed, that I do get in soon. So I'm trying to get a whole bunch of recordings done. There is this summer extravaganza that's on right now in the school. You can purchase a bunch of courses for like 60% off in our in our More Than Existing Academy. Myself, Lisa, have many classes and many courses. We also have Michelle, who also teaches in there as well. But that's the courses that are on right now. It's the ones that you will see once you go in and you go to my Facebook page, or if you may have even gotten an email saying that this extravaganza is on. It is 60% off all of the pre-recorded classes that I've previously taught. Once you have them, you can watch them whenever you like. So it's a good time to purchase them. Thank you, Wendy. I am trying to take care. Good morning, Jamie Lee. Yes, I am slowed down drastically. I am taking a lot of time. Sadie's got my microphone all twisted and turned. So I am working on projects though. So the second book was just released. We are getting ready to do the soft cover copy. So you can actually get a copy of the book. So we're working on that, and hopefully within the next couple weeks, you'll have it. It all depends on the printing and the printing company. And the printing companies are having problems with paper because getting shipments, getting paper stuck in shipping containers out in the middle. And you can't blame this shit. Like, it's just so many things in the world that have been so set back and laid back. And it's like you can't really blame it on the companies, but you definitely cannot. You can't blame it on where we were 2 years ago. There's so much more that is happening. There's so much more that is going on that is holding things up, that has caused such a delay. It's when you let government get too involved in businesses and in other things, they make a shit show out of things. Just saying. Sorry, but it's true. Because they don't know how to run businesses. They really don't. It's if businesses ran how government ran, we'd all be totally out of business. And they've done a really good job putting many people out of business. So good morning, good morning. Right, Shelley? It is true. It is such truth. If we could hold them as accountable as they try to hold us, like to the standards, and it's crazy. That's a whole story where I could easily travel down a rabbit hole. So I'm going to stay where I am. Okay, so we got a few people in here. Let's just get started. So, for those who don't know, what I kind of do is I don't even know what I do some days. I work with energy. So I work with spirit. I connect into the energy and that foreseeing into that future. When all of the things went down with the blackouts with the debit credit the other day, my friend Tracy messaged. She was driving down east and she's like, oh my God, this is in one of your predictions. You predicted this was going to happen, that we were going to have this blackout. You weren't going to be able to use debits and credits. It was in one of your videos, it was in one of your predictions. So, the way that we work with energy is I connect to the higher consciousness. There's consciousness out there. It's everything that is happening now, kind of is already happening in the world where we connect into. So, being able to see map together how things are working, that's how a lot of my work is done. And so I help people to be able to build a new blueprint for their lives, be able to map out their direction, to be able to gain that clarity, to be able to take ownership and responsibility and call your own self out. That's huge. So a lot of the energy that we have happening right now, July is a shit show. Just going to say, July is a shit show. June was a shit show. There's a lot of really crappy, shitty energy that is still out there, but it doesn't mean there's not good energy. You kind of got to keep jumping the stars, jumping over the obstacles and the challenges, to keep saying where, I'm going to keep jumping and skipping until I find a sweet spot, until I find something that really resonates with me, till I feel something that makes me feel that spark in within. And so holding on to hope is huge, because I can tell you there is a shift. In order to get to anything that is great, we have to dismantle everything that is old, right? And so there's a lot of old energy. So you may be feeling that. I always say take down what is like in the world scale and bring that into ourselves. It's like we can't change the world, but we can change us. And if each and every one changes ourselves, then the world around us changes, right? And so there is a lot of shifts that is happening. But had a dream of a mudslide, but not where I lived. It was in a neighborhood. Yeah, Stacy, right? There is so many things that are weather related that's happening. Good morning, Glenda and Ellie. Good morning, and Stacy. Good morning. And so there is a lot of weather patterns that are really truly messed up. If you watch my predictions on YouTube, you'll often see I talk a lot about weather. So I've been talking about something that's erupting underground and something that's going to erupt. And I know I think there was a volcano that has recently erupted. I don't really follow a lot of news. I've kind of, because, it's not real truth. It's opinions and manipulation and so many other things. So where I know truth comes from is beyond the veil. So I connect outside the veil and beyond, or inside the veil. I travel out there and I'm like, guide me to the truth. What feels right? What is truth? And getting to know that truth. And so I did have a big video this week that kind of, that I think it was on there was two. There was one on Instagram and there was one on YouTube, and they both talked a little bit about don't even feel, the knight in shining armor, the white knight syndrome, that whole sense of, we got to be the saviors, we all have to stand together, we all have to come together. But when they cluster everything together, and it's that narrative that you look like, so I'm just going to use for example, you look like, you're a woman, it's your job, it's your right, you have to stand, you have to be this, you have to be that. But in the threads of it all, there's things that just don't feel right to you. Well, that trauma response of fight or flight, and that's how even the so-called do good is being triggered to get you to respond, then, and it doesn't feel right because you have spent forever creating that inner peace, then you have to know that that's not, that you don't have to jump on board, and you don't have to jump on a bandwagon. You don't have to start doing all of those things. I'm like, I have to do shit. Nobody's going to guilt me, shame me into doing something or to follow a narrative when I have the ability to be able to see beyond it all. My guide is the divine. And my guide is that higher calling, that consciousness that exists outside of all of the opinions that have been created into knowledge, and all that is happening to know when to move, to shift, to go, to do, to show up, to be present. And if I have to walk alone, I'd rather walk alone. And that's a truth. And it's like really truly trust that within yourself, that you are seeing it everywhere. Post, memes, chase this, do that. If you don't do this, it is being guided by fear. And fear is not in the light, and fear does not have faith. And so it's not having a faith in an outcome. It's I'm going to fight to get what I want. But in that sense of the higher calling, the good of all, there is this from that higher sense. If we trust that higher sense to guide us, and not saying it's wrong or it's right what people are doing, it's that it has to feel right for you. And if it doesn't feel right for you, then you need to explore what it is that doesn't feel right. Maybe there is a little piece or that you just can't support, that you can't stand by, that is not for you, that is not the narrative of your story, or not even the future of how you want to see it. Trust you. Be honest with you. Be your authentic self. When you're honest with you, you can trust you. When you're honest with everyone else, when everyone is honest with you, you can trust them. But when they leave out pieces and parts and they give you and throw in the hook to hook you in to get you to follow something, it's why not be fully honest? Why not be fully transparent? Why not put all the cards on the table, show everything, expose everything, and then let people choose for themselves? I've been saying this for a few years. I've been saying this since the beginning of COVID. I've been saying this since the beginning of everything else. The C word, not allowed to say it anymore. Since all the beginning of all of those things, lay it on the table and let people choose for themselves. Show the good, bad, and the ugly. Show the parts that are your version versus the versions of another truth. Let people gain all the perspectives that they need to then choose for themselves. Now, you have to also do that within yourself, in the little things within our lives. Do that within your own life. Be that sense of knowing that your guardians that stand with you, you are also the guardian of this vessel. Your job is to care for this vessel. So where you allow yourself to be, health wise, everything, and being not afraid to question, not afraid to ask, not afraid to say, I don't want to do this yet, or I'm ready to do this, and that this is your journey. And I know when I went in for my surgery 4 years ago, people are like, oh, I know this person and they had this experience and that experience. I'm like, but I'm not that person, and that's not my experience. Oh, you should get in this support group. I said, it's not a support group. It's a group where people come in sometimes and they complain or they tell all the things that went wrong or I'm staying in the faith of knowing that I heard it was time to do this. It was the right time. It was what was going to work for me. It was my time. And I'm going to stay in that faith, and I'm going to stay in that light. And I'm back there again now. Right? It's like soon as somebody says, there's a percentage that this could go wrong. I said, but there's also a percentage that this could go right. Why do we choose pain, suffering, fear over faith, healthy living, healthy choices, transparency, authenticity, all of those things? Because it feeds the monster. It feeds that narrative. It lets us go into doubt, second guessing, judgment, responding from that fight or flight, fear, freeze, fawn, all of those areas. And so there is that sense of, what if there's a miracle? And what if you are the miracle? What if you're the walking miracle? What if you walking alone leads you down a way that no one else could see? Because everybody, when you're all crowded and clustered together, when you're in your thoughts, when you're in your drama, when you're involved in everything, you cannot see the light. If you want to see the light, sometimes you got to get high enough to see the light, or you got to get out of the crowd. And that's a truth. And that's the energy that is just saying, yes, we have a cluster of energy. We have a lot that's happening. We have a lot that's going on, but you got to jump up those stars, keep going, right? Keep moving, keep shifting until you can see a light, hope. Woo! Anybody just see that fly past me? That sense of hope, restoring hope. Restoration, rest leads to restoration. Peace leads to that sense of being able to gain clarity, right? It's like hope leads to health. I mean, that healthy living, healthy ways, healthy choices and decisions. And it's like, I never lose hope until there is nothing, until there's no hope left. Right. And then I just know that that's the way things probably maybe had to be. And that changes. And when we can let ourselves change that perspective, many things changes. I want to go over here and look at some messages. Good morning, Liz. Destiny. I've been dreaming so much lately, but I have been really tired and so not sleeping so much at the same time. Weird. So dreams are suppressed memories repressed. Dreams are suppressed memories repressed. And it's when we sleep, all ego moves out of the side. And so they show us dreams in symbolic ways. So when we're exhausted, we're tired, that's surrender, right? It's like if you ever seen people salmon fish, is when they're salmon fishing. I'm from a family who owns a salmon fishing lodge, so I can relate to this. I've never salmon fished. I've watched them. I don't do those things, but I watch them with love. And so when they'd salmon fish, the salmon would, you'd catch the salmon and then you got this long reel and you just let the salmon lead until it tires itself out. You don't try to force the salmon in, you don't try to pull the salmon in. It is that you go with the flow of the salmon. You let the salmon exhaust itself and then you reel the salmon in, right? The salmon kind of comes into you. Well, that's kind of what happens in surrender. It's that whole, okay, you've exhausted yourself. So when you lay down to sleep, Destiny, you're like, your whole body just goes, right? And so then when you do crash, you crash, right? So the hours of sleep you are crashing and burning, it may only be 2 hours, but in that 2 hours, you are totally out of the way. The rest could be like REM. It could be like all kinds of like flickery in and out. But when you crash and you're out, that's that sweet spot, that moment of when many things are giving you um, what you need to kind of know through different ways. And so some of it is, when we feel ourselves falling, running, those things, is it's giving us information that can really help guide us. If you wake up and you pick up a journal half asleep and you start to just automatic write, it'll be amazing what would come through from those dreams. Wendy Richardson. I have a health issue and I feel like a ticking time bomb. Lots of fear. Wendy, let me process that one for a moment, okay? I want to process that one. And so yeah, Raquel, that one also answers that for you as well. So I want to sit with that for a moment with you, Wendy, because I want to feel I'm stepping. I hope you don't mind. I'm asking spirit to, I'm not stepping into, I'm asking spirit to give me something that can be relatable, that's of the highest good, that may inspire you or that may be able to help you. And so let me sit with this. So Wendy, so you're sitting feeling like you are a ticking time bomb. That sense of feeling like lots of fear. So now fear does not improve your health, right? So instead of sitting, just listening to the tick, tick, tick of a ticking time bomb, how about you sit with the divine, sit with the angels, sit with the guides, and ask them to guide you into all of the right flow, the right people that bring about what you need the most right now to help you. Because the sitting in fear is not able to bring forth. So you have to be the shift. You have to be a catalyst of change in your thoughts, because thoughts come into reality. right? When we absolutely fear the absolute worst, then we lose that sense of faith. And fear and faith are like, it's invisible. You don't know the outcome of your future, right? You don't know it. It has not existed yet. But what if you can feel yourself running around, jumping around, having a beautiful life? And you start to connect to that feeling. I want to feel this beautiful life, this beautiful world. I'm going to feel this. This is what my future feels like. You feel yourself, back out walking around, doing whatever, taking big breath, breathing in, breathing out. Start to feel yourself feeling that again. And then feel the sense of calling in that own inspiration. I'm going to get there. I am getting there. And I am having that again. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I know it is there. I know it's a possibility. I am finding that spark. And so you start to find that spark. You keep the flame burning and you keep the light on. Because as long as you have a breath, you have an opportunity. As long as you have a breath, you have an opportunity. And each one of those breaths are connection to God, their connection to source. And they give you the opportunity. And you're being asked to hold the flame, to hold the faith, to hold the line, to hold on to that feeling. So it's very important for you to connect to that. Very important, because you're approaching it from a backward way, as if already all the wrong is already here. And so I know. So this is a new tick, right? This is a new tick, not a ticking time bomb, but the tick into my future that I feel, I know that I am having that. And I'm going to keep pushing and fighting. You have to be your own advocate. So if a phone call is not coming in as quick as you would like it, you need to call back, right? If a doctor's office is not responding, if somebody's not getting back to you, who cares if you are a nuisance? Who cares if you are a pain in the ass? Be the pain in the ass, be the nuisance, and because it is your health that you're fighting for, right? And so because what you're fighting for is the sense to get there to that beautiful future, to that breath, to that sense. So each and every day, you have to connect to that breath and feel that breath. Feel what it is. Right now, I'm here and I am very alive right now. And so I want to be even more alive than this. I want to feel this. I want this. And that then changes, that helps change the mindset, because the mindset is what matters. And without the mindset, and I'm going to tell you that I've worked with people in my life, and one of them is actually written in More Than Existing without having to give all the details, but literally was given a not very good chance at her future. And in prayer circle, in conversations with Mary, working with Mother Mary, working with Jesus, working with the divine presence and the divine spirit, everything turned out to be a different outcome than what was previously given. And that beautiful lady is living an absolutely beautiful life. And it was in that sense of faith and just restoring that. And it's not easy to hold that every day. You can't hold the line every day. So then you need others to help hold the line. And so in that sense of holding the line, seeing things as golden, seeing things as healing, seeing these things happen really truly does help bring those changes in. So that's my wisdom for you, Wendy. And so I send you much love and also place you in the prayer circle. Get yourself a little altar with a little candle and sit there every single morning and just feel your way to there, because we try so hard to do everything on our own. We don't have to do it on our own. Even if we have to walk this path where sometimes we got to walk these journeys by ourselves in physical form, we're not walking alone. Spirit has our back. Spirit is with us. We are divinely cared for. And so I hope that helps you somehow. I haven't even picked up the cards yet. Ronita, the cards are still sitting. We're just in conversation, which is exactly the title they gave me this morning, conversation. So I'm trusting the conversations. Uh, Ronita, you are definitely on the right path. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. You don't like to bother people, but I'll try my best to be strong. Yes, bother people. It is not a bother. So change the language, change the word. I am an advocate for my own health. And that's what I'm doing. I am being an advocate. Yeah. Ronita, you are definitely walking the right way. You're going the direction you're meant to. And so there was choices and decisions that you had to make. Sometimes we got to make sacrifices to get where we're going. You've made those sacrifices. Sometimes we got to do the shitty thing and we got to make calls when people tell us not to. And we just got to trust that we're doing the right things for the right reason to get where we need to go. You've done those, Ronita. So that's, so you are definitely on that right path and that right journey. And there's so many things that have, it takes courage sometimes. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. You tell everyone else. So take yourself off the fucking back burner and get yourself on the front burner today. I mean it, Wendy. It is time. Hence why people don't see me so much. As much as I would love to be in here, as much as I love doing all of this work, I don't have enough gas in my tank to take care of my health and take care of everything every day. So some days I only got the gas in my tank to do what I need to do for me. And as you can see by my hair falling out, my scrawny hair, is that I have I have areas in my life where I'm going through my own health things. So um and so but in the meantime, I stay in the glow, stay in the hope, stay in the faith. Things will be okay. And I know my future. I know where I'm going. This is just an obstacle, right? And you have to just know that this is just the obstacles. Right? You are worth it. You are worth all of that attention. Yes. Oh, thank you. Okay. Hi to everyone who's coming in. It is a Sunday morning. It's not a very crowded room this morning, so it leaves space and room for these conversations, to have these conversations. Ashley, I want to go back up to Ashley. I've been fighting and fear of passing on, even when I'm old. Is a fear of just being gone. So we should never fear that side. Exactly. But I can tell you, Ashley, one of the things that happens when somebody loses a mom at a young age, or loses a parent, or somebody that they adore at a younger age, like, and you're coming closer to those ages and you're getting at that stage in your life, and and you're watching your children grow, is that this is like, so this is somatic body healing. Your body stores these muscle memories. Is that you literally will start to fear, you'll almost like you feel like you're going to fall into the same destiny as that loved one. So you start to have this fear, but it's this untrue fear. It is the fear, the acronym of fear: false evidence appearing real. Because you have a previous experience of losing somebody way too young, who still had a lot of life left in her, then you also see yourself in her. You see yourself in that reflection. And so you fear the same destiny as what your mother existed in. And that is the muscle memory. That's trauma response. So working on that moment, that experience, and I'm not the same person. I'm not her. So how we work past all of those is, first we get honest and real with ourselves. Number one, I am not the person who passed away. Number two, I am healthy, I am whole, right? Or, it's not the same time, it's not the same experience, things are not the same. Because all of those is a self prophecy into that victim story. because there's always that level of grief. There's always that level of the experience, right? That you will remember. So you have to do some self-soothing, self-awareness of, I'm not my mother's story. Just because that happened, now you have to look at evidence that a lot of other people in your life that are that age didn't pass away early like your mom, right? You said it out loud. Exactly. Yes. And so, and that's where you have to be very honest with yourself and knowing, you greatly miss your mom. But that moment, so I want to pinpoint right to that moment, Ashley, that very moment that you lost your mom, the moment you got the call, the moment that you found out, the moment that you knew all of those things, right? And so a lot of things pre existed prior to that experience, but the trauma that your body has is in the moment that she left. And that's the area of where the greatest healing needs to be. Hence why people work with me. That's what I was just talking about early when we came in was I help people blueprint map and map out. I take people to those places within to be able to pinpoint those areas. Um, mostly in group work now. Um, I don't do a lot of individual sessions anymore. It is very rare. I'm doing a couple this month. Partly is just because I feel the need to get back out a little bit, but in a lot of those group classes and coaching, this is where your ahas come in. It really is. Exactly, Ashley. It was the worst freaking moment of your life, the worst moment. And what did you do? You went into survival mode. You also still had family. You still had to care for things, right? And so that moment, that is the lowest moment. It is the most defining moment of your life. What we do from that moment and how we respond from that moment, how we react from that moment is the beginning of change. There's a catalyst of, there's a, the ripple effects of all of those things. So there's something, you move on from that moment, but your body doesn't, your memory doesn't. There's a stored memory. So if we were to walk you back to that experience and walk back into that experience and look at it from the eyes of who you are today, from the woman that you are today, you'll be able to look in differently and see with such compassion and caring for yourself to be able to bring forth the healing that you need to do there. And I suggest you do that healing. Ronita, you certainly do. I was beyond broken when I met Corey, and now I'm living my most abundant life. Ah, it's such a hard moment to that can last for years. Yes, exactly. Ronita knows exactly, right? It's like, yeah, and those moments they're so defining to you. You are very welcome, Ashley. Very welcome. Because I always say, it's one thing to talk to our loved ones, it's one thing to connect, but the power of healing is where the priority is. And that's what they ask, that's what they want us to do. And so a lot of those feelings that come up is in knowing that our loved ones in spirit is still very here. They're not gone. But we are living absent and avoid in a void of light and love when we live in the past, right? And that sense of knowing that we fear the inevitable. Ultimately, here's the real truth: we are all going to die. We are all going to leave this earth. And that sounds harsh, but we all will. We all have that expiry date. How, when, we all don't know. It's all these different experiences in life, all these different things happen. So we don't know those outcomes. All we know is that we have today and we have this moment and we have right here, right now, to be that inspiration and to be that change in our own lives. And that's, no matter what else is happening in the world, if I got a breath today, I'm going to try to find something good today. And they have not all been easy and they're not always easy, but it is the effort. Are you making the effort, right? And so healing beyond that point is huge. So because you're still, Ashley, there's a lot of you still existing from that point. So you're always expanding, extending yourself out, stretching from that point. And then like an elastic band, you just get pulled back to that point in time, right? And there's nothing There's nothing there. She's not even there. She's not even in that past experience. Your mother's not there. Everybody is over here. Everyone in spirit world is living in that bliss over here, that empowered, that inspired self. They're already over here. They're already in that future. They're waiting for you in your future. They're like, I got to come back down, right? To get down to this energy. They exist in the enjoyment, the thrill energy, the higher vibrating energy. They do not exist in the swamps of your emotions. That's yours. That's yours. You have to unlearn. You have to break down everything. You have to unlearn to learn. And number one is to say, I don't know. I don't know. If I knew, I'd be doing it right. I'd have somewhat of a, right? I don't know. And I don't know what that is for me. And that's huge. And that's not saying we don't know a lot of other things. It's just saying I keep repeating these cycles. And if I keep repeating, I keep returning, I keep ending up in the same emotional boat, then there's something here that is saying it is time for me to explore it deeper. Yes. Yes, Ellie can speak of this because Ellie has so much really stepped into her healing journey, and she just finished another of the courses through the School of the Goddess Within, soul revival, soul retrieval work. And yeah, you got to, you doing the self work. And so when you start doing the self work, stop wanting to give it away. You get one good thing for you, and then you're like, oh, let me tell 1,000 friends, and let me share this, and because then you're leaking out everything that you got that is for you to use on you first. It's like um, watering down. It's like watering down the potion, right? You can't water it down. You need the full potion yourself. And there's still more. The world is unlimited. There's much more to give. So I hope that helps. All right. And now I'm just going to move forward with the cards that go in here. So we've done a couple of readings here. Oh, wait, now I got to go back up because it is conversation. So I got to go back up. I just seen Stacy. I got to put my glasses on. My eyes are going blurry. Stacy Marie Galbraith, is it? I feel like I'm falling apart lately. Just need some guidance. So maybe you are falling apart. Maybe you're dismantling. We have to dismantle, right? In order to be that truth and to be ourselves, is that we have to let things dismantle. And that's a very uncomfortable place. And that's how we go back into old patterns, old ways of being. Is because when it's uncomfortable, when it feels like, oh my God, my world's falling apart, we don't let it finish falling apart. We try to put it back together. Maybe it's not meant to be put back together the way it was. Maybe there's pieces that you don't want to go back in there. Maybe there's things that you need to see more clearly. So there's a wide scope of things that can really truly be at play there. But it is just like the Tower card of Tarot. The people see the Tower card coming, they're like, oh my God, that's the end, right? Endings bring new beginnings. And so we don't want to, so we get that and you think, oh, that's like a doomsday card. But what people don't see is the lightning that's going into the top when the top comes off of the tower in the tarot. And it's the light. So the only way for the light to get to us is for us to take off all of the cloaks, get out of the darkness, break away all of the barriers that is there so that a new light can shine in, a new possibility, a new opportunity. Because if we keep trying to live in the old, we're always going to just get the same old, we're going to get the same old outcomes. It's going to be the same outcome as previously was there. And slow and steady. Yes, there's no rush. There is no rush and there's no competition. This is bullshit. And so there is no competition. When I see people competing against one another to be healthy, to live their best lives, to be spiritual, to be whatever, I'm like, you have not left the program. You have not left society's programming. You have not left your ego. You have dragged your ego all the way through. And I always tell people that in More Than Existing. When you come in, I'm like, who did you bring into More Than Exist? Did you bring the shadow self? Or are you going to leave that shadow self there and just say, it is time for me to dismantle and find out my truth? Because a huge portion of our lives, what we don't even know is you are not who you think you are. You are not who you tell yourself you are. You're not any of those things. That is all who you created for survival. It's all who you created to be a pleaser. It's all who you created based on old values, old beliefs. But what if that is not you? And there's so much more to you to discover. Just saying. I only compete with myself to be a better person today than I was yesterday. Yeah. Took that from the book. Exactly. You only compete with you to be better than you were the day before. And some days it don't feel like it, because in dismantling, you don't realize that you're like, oh, doesn't feel like I'm getting better. Well, it's like a wound that's healing. A wound that's healing that gets scabs over it. You're not supposed to pick the scabs off, even though it's like on the knee somewhere and you're trying to bend. You can tell I'm visual. And you're like trying to bend the knee and it cracks and it breaks. So you try to slough off the scab instead of letting the scab slowly work its way off, right? It's the same thing. It's, you got to just know that in those times, it's not that the world hates us, it's that the universe hates us, is that we're being loved, and we're being loved back into something. And the more that we go into the stories of hate, anger, and we let it own us instead of letting ourselves flow through it, including, you got to get angry. You got to get mad. And and so anger and mad, it doesn't come out in the way of being mean and cruel. There's a difference. Anger, you can do, I call it love anger. And you can say, that fucking hurt. And this fucking hurts. And I've just come through my own journey of recognizing how much hurt I have said it's okay to over the years. It's okay. I forgive you. You just intentionally, because of your ego, wanted to just absolutely destroy me. And I'm like, that's okay. It doesn't mean I stop loving people on a spiritual level, but it is not okay. And bad behavior is not okay, right? And so you can forgive and do those things, but that ego can be huge. That ego also takes us back into not allowing ourselves to get to our own finish line, to get to that new sweet spot, that new happiness. So know that that's sometimes okay to let yourself get there. My stone that I actually carry with me today is this is Tangerine Quartz, and of course it's infused. And Tangerine Quartz is like the sweet spot, right? And so we can be so cruel and so hard on ourselves sometimes. And that sense of, and it's that sacral, because we create those stories, those memories, those moments. And, we think we're the creator of our friend and our enemy within. And so that sacral, and working from that place, getting from there into the heart, into the high heart. And the high heart is right here. And the high heart is not tied to your emotions and your memories. Your high heart is connected to God will, to channeling through from the divine, to connecting to that higher self. This heart contains all of your experiences. So when they talk about living for, like, trust your heart, it's not this heart. It's not this emotional heart living. It's the high heart. Trust the higher guidance sometimes to just know, okay, I'm going to just put my rubber boots on here and I'm going to walk through this mud. I'm going to put my hard hat on and I'm going to walk through there. I'm going to do what needs to be done, because I know, same thing I said to Wendy earlier, I want to get to that feeling. And that feeling is where I'm getting. And I will do what it takes to live to get to that feeling. That was ultimately More Than Existing. So yeah. So Raquel, for your daughter, first of all, let's take out the downward spiral. She is existing in a place of some really hard emotions. So it feels, there's always that sense, does she need to be heard without judgment? Is there, sometimes we need to be heard without judgment. Not saying you're wrong, that you got it wrong, that, that's not how it was, because there's nothing any worse. I remember sitting down one time trying to explain how I felt an experience. It didn't mean it was all right. It didn't mean it was all wrong. It didn't mean anything. It meant that from who I was at that time, this is how I experienced something. This is how it felt. Being a seer, being a feeler, being an empath in that experience that nobody else even blinked an eye at, that was a big deal. I felt this specific way. And as I'm trying to say that, a lot of buts were coming. But this, but that. And I'm like, stop the buts. You are justifying and defending the other people. I didn't say I was attacking them. I am tired of attacking myself. So the feelings that I have are real. And I just want you to listen without opening your mouth. Just listen. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I just need to get this out. That experience, I felt like this. And I carried that for a long time. It has manifested because it felt like, why didn't anybody do anything? Why didn't anybody stand up? Why were you always defending that? Why did you? And I'm like, now I know better. So sometimes in life, especially in youth, especially in those younger years, teenage, young adult, sometimes you just need someone to just let them get it out. It's because when you can hear yourself, when you can connect with yourself, then you start to process it differently. When it's in suppression and it's pushed down, and you're telling yourself a lot of stories, you're creating enemies, you're finding someone to be mad at. And so there's a lot of things that then go at play. When it actually gets to be out, up and out, now it doesn't have the same energy. Now everything has changed. The story is different. So sometimes just need to get out and just, thank you for sharing. It's not a right, wrong. Thank you for sharing. I'm glad you shared. I'm glad you told me. I'm glad I could hold this space for you. Now, what are we going to do? How are we going to approach this? And so giving people the option to be able to say, do you have a way? Do you have anything that we can start to do? And then then they will either be, no, I was hoping you did. Okay. Are you open to me helping you? Will you let me in? Are you allowing me the space to guide you? Whatever that may be. But it's changing the narrative of the conversation and having the conversation in a different way, but letting them get that out. And that begins a new journey. Because when they then don't have anyone, when you're not giving them the response they want, then the only reflection is back onto them. And that really, truly does make a difference in their lives. It helps. Yes, it's because it's right. She doesn't, right. And so the suggestions are coming, you're giving suggestions because you want to see that change. She's not ready for that change, right? So she's got to be ready. And leave the door open. When you're ready to talk, I will listen without saying anything back. Just what is it? Or you find somewhere else, hire, but they have to ask for help. They have to be willing for help, because when they're not, it's in resistance, right? So it's like they will start to seek out, or they'll ask. Leave things around, leave notes around, leave business cards around, leave post around, leave things around that they can see, right? So there's that defiance, right? So when you're in defiance, you're in denial. You're denying yourself the opportunity to live well, because she's also maybe punishing herself somehow. Self-prophecy, self-punishment, that sense of always going to that place. So sometimes things may be a little bit out of your control. Just be there to listen, and just, leave all the clues, right? Leave all the clues, what can. And sometimes just share your experiences without any suggestions. One time Or, I always say it's like that third person. Connect it to a third person instead of directing at her, because suggestions feels like attack sometimes, or it feels like it's coming at them. Whereas if you give a third person perspective of you, that's where sharing stories come in, right? Is that you can give an experience without giving any suggestion or any projection onto her. Yeah, and lead by example. So start taking care of you. Good job, Ellie. See, I love how everyone pays attention in school. So start doing all the things to lead your best life. And I know it's hard. Start doing all the things to take care of you, to instead of denying yourself, instead of being hard on yourself, instead of being judgmental to yourself, start doing the things where you start to live your healthier life. And chances are they do want to follow suit. Mhm. All right. I want to finish this up quickly. So I'm going to give us 3 cards for the week. And so that with the energy that's going on, because I do have to go, I'm just checking time. Okay. So and you do also remember you're competing with a social media that seems to be which is you know imposter light, I call it. Not always truth. They assume people to be who they think they are by what you see. That's why, as someone who is on social media, I try my best to be as vulnerable and as real and true and authentic as I possibly can. That life is not perfect. We are all human. That we're not living some perfect life. We didn't all just wake up and all of a sudden just get to hurrah into our world. Is that life is life. And, and shit goes sideways, just like my shelf over there that looks like a hot mess right now. Yeah, there's a reason why. And so our card that's coming out is from my deck, and this one is Thekla. It is the unseen wound, which ultimately speaks about a lot of things we've been talking about here today. And so the unseen wound is kind of what the world is right now, is that we have pulled scabs off, we've pulled band-aids off, and things have been exposed. And so we do have a lot of dismantling, a lot of tower moments that is happening within the world scale right now, in the big world. And it's so if it's happening in the big world, it's also happening now. It's because it's happening in the universal energy. So the universal energy says that we are all a part of the universal energy. So there is that universal energy that's having an impact and effect up on many of us. And so what we're feeling, so this one could be a mother-daughter, or it could be us with our inner child. So a lot of my early work started with inner child work and working on the inner child. I see you, I hear you, I feel you, which is Ho'oponopono. So it's coming into that energy of seeing the person that you were and looking in. And as I said to Ashley earlier, it's, looking back at that person with compassion. So the greatest thing that we can start to do, the magic wand, is to be able to care for our needs, care for that emotion, but not to smother it, not to not to be so defensive of it, not to give it such ownership, because we have a whole lineage, a whole line of energy that just says that as soon as there was a tantrum, come here, come here, Muffin, don't have a tantrum. No, sometimes you have to let the tantrum run itself out. It's like you stop it because you don't want to have to deal with emotions. You don't want to feel sad. You don't want to feel. So we're in a time where we cannot avoid neglect the things that we have to face within ourselves. And if we do, we're just going to keep returning, right? And it's the same thing. We can't have the same emotional response and expect to get a new outcome. It's not going to happen ever. We have to have a different emotional response if we want to see a different outcome. Because if it's the same, it's just a cycle, right? We have to be aware that it is time to loop those cycles, tie them off, and to be those changes. And that is huge for us as we're coming into finish. I don't want to finish up July. As we're into July and we're hitting that mid mark of July. We have a full moon coming up on the 13th. That full moon also speaks of a lot of stuff. Yeah. So there was a big, there has been a couple big energy shifts. We just stepped in on the 8th. And so we did have the, we had the 7-7. We just had the 7-7. So we had the 7-7 energy shift, and then we followed suit to the beginning of the countdown to the Lion's Gate on August the 8th. And so we did have some big planetary shifts. And so we're just talking about the shit shows of stuff that we have going on. I am going to be launching something for the Lion's Gate for the 8-8 that I'm going to be doing. I became a rock, not in a good way when it comes to emotions, right? Because where did you hear that? How many times did you hear that in your life? You're the rock. You're the rock of the family. You're the one everybody can count on. And and that was huge. Like, that was a big thing in my family, was the sense that being told, but you can handle it. You can handle anything. And my last thing that I remember just saying recently was, if I could have handled it so freaking well as all the stories that you say, then why am I the one who is now in this position in my health? I became that because I had no choice but be. But now I have a choice, right? And so that is not our truth. And so recognizing that. You thought you're going to die. You're sick. Yeah, you need to go back and listen to all of this, Lindsay. But yeah, it's not funny. It was it hit yesterday morning, and that's why I went and walked the Badlands yesterday, and that's why I went to the dry island buffalo jump yesterday. If you've never been to the dry island buffalo jump in Alberta, go. It's a park area. You can drive down when the weather is good, all the way down to the bottom. And I went, and so it was. So there's a total endings and new beginnings that are happening everywhere, and we're a part of it. It is the dismantling. It is that right? Ever since I was little. Exactly, Stacy. My mom was told that a lot, and I was expected to take her place. No, you weren't expected to take her place. You place that expectation, you place it upon yourself based on the kind of idolizing your mom, like that sense of it was her job. So you told that's self-prophecy, right? You told yourself the story enough that you believed it. And then everyone else followed suit because you became available, and you became available to them, and that you honored that of your mother. And so there's so many things that when you get to see it in such a way, I just lost my grandfather, my mother, and my brother. My grandfather and my mother and brother are not doing good. I feel like I have to be there for both of them, but I don't know what to do for them right anymore. So did you not just lose your grandfather as well? So what makes your scenario any different than theirs? You don't have the gas in your tank to be able to be available in that way. You can in ways that you can, and other ways you can't. And so it's like, no, we all have an ability to access that place that gives us the strength, the courage that we need. We have to be able to access it ourselves, right? And so, yeah, when you break up with you break up with all of the identity you've told yourself, because it is what is yourself. That gives you that. It's so in More Than Existing, I wrote the claim to fame. That's your claim to fame story. That's your story that keeps everybody needing you. It keeps you hiding from yourself. Those are the claim to fame stories. The good kid, the dependable one, the reliable one, all of those things. And so when you break up with it, like, I am not very freaking dependable to what everyone else needs anymore. And there's a lot of things that have changed, and a lot of those things will change when you start to discover that was never my truth. That's never who I was. And so you don't have what it takes to do any more than what you're doing, Stacy. And that is, a hug, sitting with each other, being present, sharing stories, those things. The rest, everyone else, nobody is a savior of anyone else. We all have to be our own saviors. I can give all the tools in the world, but you can lead a horse to water. You can never force a water. You can never force the horse to drink. That is a truth. That is life. You can guide, you can give, I can share all the love. I could strip myself all the way down and give all of me away, which I used to do. And it will still not have people do the things that they need to do. Yeah. And so, yeah, so Lindsay, yesterday was a total, it's transformational energy. It is a dismantling. You may feel very raw today. Our other card coming in is beautiful transformation, Amira. And it's just, she's holding her world. She's in that water. So also recognizing the elementals, right? And so walking through our fire, when do we need fire, leaving fire, letting fire burn, letting the fire of passion burn things down, whatever it may be, letting things burn away, calling in the spirits, the guides to help us through. Also knowing that when yesterday was happening, Lindsay, did you call in your guides? Did you call in your angels? Did you go to that sacred place? Or did you try to just keep pushing on through? What did you try to do? Who was working? Was it your physical self? Right? Because that's a part of this ascension. If you've been someone who's been doing lots and lots of work, which Lindsay is one of my girls, she's been by my side for years. And so we are in this ascension process. And it's like, and so we are, when you're still trying to do things from that physical self and not operating from spirit, from our own spirit, that we are also spirit. From the ether, there's so much there that can help us in the times when we feel that, but also move. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. It helps. Yeah. So, Tracy, where did you just come from? Out of the blue. Truth. We can only save ourselves. Just like out of the blue, there comes Tracy in there. So much of what I'm going through right now. See, Terry Ann always comes in at the right time. Yes, and hopefully she learns from those examples, right? All right, one last card. This is going to be coming into our future card. The transformation is now. This is the wounds of the past. The past has no energy. The past is like dead weight. It's dead energy. It's non-existent energy. The only energy that you give it is the one that you tie to your emotions, your memories, and your story, and you bring it back to life and you reenact it. You relive it again. This is beautiful transformation, is that it's all within you and it's all in your hands to be able to do it. It does help to have wisdom. It does help to work with people. At this point in the game, after almost 20 years, I still work with a team. And I also work with my council, my team, but I still work with people. It's like, it is the sense, because sometimes I just need to talk myself through, get through. The other thing that there's many things that I have that are tools that I go to, but I also have a checkpoint within myself. And you have to create the checkpoint so that you don't cross over into that. Here we go again, down that rabbit hole, right? Making sure that you don't cross that trigger sometimes when it's not the place for you to go, to know that those triggers are, if there's a freaking something for you to run from, like a bear, you're going to freaking run. You're going to know that you're not going to run. Don't run from a bear. Unless it's a grizzly. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. I don't live in the wild. But don't run from a bear. You got to keep talking, walking calmly, and just kind of get yourself the hell out of there. But it's there it's designed so that you don't, right? So that you know that when it's an unhealthy situation, you move beyond it. But it's not to use it in the, false evidence appearing real. Is this real? What is real? What is truth here? What do I, is this my past experiences? Because when we live from our memories and everything relates to the memories, even when it's new again, you're always going to be in that place. Came in on Nova Scotia wave. And so our last card, I can't even see. My eyes are gone so blurry. This is the unveiling. It is scarlet. I don't know why I need it to look. as if I didn't know what the card was. And so this is the unveiling, right? This is a time why we got so much dismantling, why there's so much happening is it's an unveiling. It's unveiling new truth. It's opening us up to new truth. And we get to choose how we bring ourselves back together, how we come into this, and where we operate and live from, even within our own selves. You want to be the change be the change in you. Know that some of this energy is not here to destroy you. This energy is not here to destroy you. It is here to destroy the old beliefs. It's here to break down those old paradigms. It's here to break us away from even manipulating even other people in your own life, where you try to, if you don't do this, this is going to happen, right? It's like, that's bullshit. There's consequences. Knowing that there is consequences to our actions, there's consequences to everything, but also that you don't have to leap and jump when you want to see all sides of things. It's so important. Be transparent, be open, be real, but also know that you are sacred. And for me, protecting my nervous system was absolute must for me. I don't jump into places that's going to destroy the pieces of my health that I work hard to keep together. I stay calm. I do things from a collective place. I write, I share, I find a way to give messages with love and light, and to know that you can be a big part of a change just by being that version of yourself and being that truth. And it does bring change. So, yeah, much love. That's what I have for you. I do have to go now. It's long enough sitting in this chair, and it's getting crazy hot. So much love. Take care of yourselves. Do what you need to do with love and light, and take that deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Step back sometimes and step out of the energy, and then step back in again, and you'll be refreshed. So much love. Mwah. See you soon. Bye-bye.